So I'm being told to make some videos and just encourage some people because that's what I'm called to do. And any of those that get in the way of my mission and purpose on this earth and my story being used to actually create a better tomorrow and save lives is actually proving themselves to be on the side of destruction, of life's lost, of depravity, disparity, iniquity, injustice, lies. This world definitely is run by the father of lies, and all of those that work against the truth, they just put themselves in cahoots with the evil one, the father of lies that runs this earth. It doesn't matter if they call themselves preachers or what they claim to be. If they are opposed to the story of truth, they are liars. They are of the devil. And that's all there is to it. Plain as day. And they know it because they know the word. So by opposing somebody and opposing the truth and opposing somebody's truth, they are proving themselves to be liars and in cahoots with the father of lies. And that is the truth of things. So I'm going to be making some videos and have to be really selective about which ones that I turn into shorts. But the more that I post and the more my page is manipulated and the more they actually shadow and censor my actual truth, and it has to do with a medical condition, and the more that they censor the actual biological causes of it and try to hack and chop and paste and Photoshop together a false story, it's only proving it even more so that what they are trying to do is basically take me out and then, turn my life and my death into something else. They've been doing this for years. They did this to my ancestors that were Swedish, that built buildings, doctors and lawyers, and they had made advancements in the medical industry. And at that time, medicine was going for profit. And so a lot of people lost their lives that were going to put an end to cancer. Like people such as Dr. Royal Raymond Rife. And so with the protection of my ancestors and the blessing of my ancestors and those that lost their lives and it was turned into another story, a false story, I'm being encouraged to actually continue to tell the truth of my story and the connections of it. They don't let too many people with Morgellons disease see my page anymore. Some of them saw my story at first, and basically I was supposed to be getting treatment with a biotoxin specialist, and I had doctors that were willing to do the labs that Medicare was able to pay for. The reason that Medicare now actually pays for accurate Lyme disease labs, and even nurse practitioners, especially those that would diagnose somebody with such a condition, are allowed to do those labs, is because our country is, some people in our country, some leadership, maybe the previous leadership more so, actually wanted to find and provide some solutions and give people their lives back. Before the change in presidency and before the whole thing went down, people with Lyme disease and Lyme disease co-infections were actually making their way to the back burner of treatment. After that happens, of course, there's the medical trials and the studies, which can mean another 10 to 20 years before treatment becomes a reality. But those of us, we were willing to actually, like in hopes that our children and our children's children would receive treatment. We were all for that and willing to wait. Those that actually operate in truth, I should say. Because actually Lyme does pass through the womb to children and to their children. And a lot of people actually have Lyme disease and live with Lyme disease. And it's generally other infections that your body cannot fight anymore due to the spirochete that cause it to become like actually a factor that becomes detrimental to your health and your functionality and causes people to actually become disabled and whatnot. Molds and funguses are particularly, pathogens, other pathogens, parasites that you know, like normal bodies can fight off a lot easier. It's a lot more difficult for people that actually have Lyme spirochete in their body to be able to fight these off, and that's when it becomes a problem. So a lot of times it's not necessarily the Lyme that makes people sick, it's the co-infections and the other infections that people with Lyme cannot fight off, that causes people to become disabled and, you know, too sick to sit up in a chair, neurological system all's jacked up, fainting on the way to the bathroom, you know, stuff like that. I'm going to make really long videos, but I need to make some shorter ones too. But to anyone actually like dealing with Lyme disease or Lyme disease co-infections, particularly like Morgellons, I want to tell you that you guys are the toughest and strongest people on this planet. Chronic fatigue syndrome, the same thing. It's a real condition that is being denied and covered up for people that want to cover up liability. And a lot of these people that are trying to cover up liability, they are predators. And that's why people that actually want to come against people that are dealing with such difficulties and try to spin this whole thing of, and I'm going to make a short about this, people needing to take responsibility for everything in their life, even if it's stuff that they have fallen victim to, not choices that they have made, stuff that they have been innocent victims of. You're actually being a mouthpiece for predators. If you want to come against people that have suffered early childhood sexual abuse, and you want to gaslight that and deny the effects of it and deny your part in it, if your child was a victim of it and you didn't catch it, or you put them in those positions, or you refuse to acknowledge it, or hey, even if maybe you were part of it, you actually are saying that you're okay with that happening, and you're saying, you know, perhaps maybe you are one, you know, but you are putting yourself in the driver's seat with predators by actually spinning that message of that people need to take responsibility for everything that happens in their life. There's balance to everything, and I'm going to prove or tell examples of how that message is being used actually to prevent predators from taking responsibilities for their actions. And it's really sad. I can't, like, the, you know, hearing young kids like say ignorant things, it had me really thinking today a lot. And so I want to make some videos about some of that stuff, but and then post it, because what they do is they block the actual truth and they shadow and censor those videos concerning that. But if I get frustrated because an opportunity of mine is blocked, that will help me to actually like stand up for people that have been bullied, harassed, victims of narcissistic family abuse, victims of early childhood sexual abuse, victims of medical treatments that our country refuses to treat and covers up due to the liability behind it. It's really upsetting for me, because I've lost decades of my life due to poor medical treatment and the gaslighting of the medical industry. Medical industry are some of the biggest gaslighters out there, actually, and it's not doing anything to create a better tomorrow for anyone. It's actually causing things to be worse. It's actually causing taxpayers to have to pay a lot more money towards like disability programs and just keeping people ill. And there's just a lot of other issues that result from it. And so it's just really not creating a better tomorrow at all when they refuse to acknowledge the truth of things and they want to spin false agendas. It's putting us backwards, not forwards. So, you know, I can't blame that on kids, that they've been actually, you know, spun these false agendas and caused to believe that, you know, everyone should take responsibility for things that they've been victim of. That's bullcrap. And it's, like I said, it's only allowing predators and people that have used other people to get financial gain to not have to take responsibility themselves for what that they have done. And until they take responsibility for what they have caused to happen, and caused to happen to a lot of people, and you know how it's greatly affected millions of people's lives, cause them to lose their lives and their livelihoods and suffer. You know, it's just further proving that they are indeed predators and agents of iniquity and injustice and falsehoods and lies, and part of the problem. part of the problems that are going on today. And it's by misusing these messages. Yeah, you definitely do need to take responsibility, for things that you are responsible for yourself. Like, nobody's perfect. We can all admit that we're all still growing and that we all make mistakes. And I can admit that, there's some times that I definitely overreact or get offended myself when I'm misunderstood. It's really tough when you've got a very complicated condition because it's a really long formula that adds to it, and most people don't understand it. It really does take like a rocket scientist to understand some of these complex medical conditions. And even some of the doctors at the top level have a hard time wrapping their brain around it. And I'll try to break down the formula of a lot of the things involved with, say, Morgellons disease in, another video. But no, for now, I do need to continue to post videos so that hackers can be found out, for one thing, because they're committing federal crimes. And it's not okay to do that to an innocent person. And it's not okay to take somebody out and take their life and shoot drugs into them, or, fine and pay off the corrupt coroner to tell a lie about how they died. This sort of stuff needs to end. Too many people have died that way. It's not okay. It's not helping anyone, and it's just helping thugs and predators to thrive. So I will be making some videos and continuing to post them. And, even though they're trying to spin a false agenda and they're desperate to take me out and turn it into something else, due to the fact that my birthplace and my exposures solidly actually prove the truth of what Morgellons disease is. And in fact, it's other Morgellons patients that was 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. I was actually just trying to go with the Lyme and the black mold thing, fungal disease from Nicaragua initially, and the medical system and the CDC, the World Health Organization, and the pharmaceutical industry and some of these corrupt industries, they were really, really dumb, and they're still being really, really dumb to not simply treat Lyme and mold. Now, if you are struggling with Morgellons, I can tell you that, the courses, proper hygienics labs, and if you can find a biotoxin specialist, a naturopath actually specializes in the treatment of Lyme disease and mold treatment, and you can find a medical practitioner to do said labs that they should do. They're covered. There's no reason why they shouldn't, unless they're like needing to cover liability. That's really the way to go. And that was the one consistent thing that I did find on posting videos about Morgellons disease, was that the treatment of Lyme and mold was what caused the condition to go into remission and caused people to get a lot better and to get their lives and their functionality back more than anything. But I was basically starting out with just going with that. I wasn't trying to get into any of the connections with the sites that I was exposed to, the red tide I was exposed to, any of that stuff. It was people saying to me, we ought to listen to you because you've had this condition more than the rest of us, longer than the rest of us. You've had it the longest. And that's how I knew that I was at the beginning of where this all started, and quite literally a Dolores concerning it all. And they basically, wanted to tell me more about the whole psychological aspect of it and the nefarious underground operations and where it all came from and everything. And you know what? Had they treated my Lyme and mold, I probably wouldn't have had to research it and study that and make those connections more. So really, the more that these thugs lie, the more of a disservice that they are doing to everybody, even the average taxpayer. Like I said, not creating a better tomorrow, but actually just being part of the problem and furthering the problem. It's corrupt, it's corruptness, and it needs to stop. So we'll never have a better tomorrow. America or any other country will never be great again. We'll never rebuild anything until we can actually tell the truth about things, because it's the truth that sets you free. And once you actually know the truth and you have a way to confront it and you have a solution, you can actually overcome something. But by continuing to deny a truth, you're not actually like doing anything psychologically to get anybody better. That is a complete falsehood, and another one that I'm going to dismantle. You don't want to focus on illness, but you do need to confront what the problem is and treat it in order to get better. And so just to deny it, when they just denied it and just threw me thyroid pills, I was so sick I couldn't sit up in a chair. I was fainting on the way to the bathroom. So denying a problem is not the answer. It's time to come clean. It's time to come correct. It's time to tell the truth. And if our leadership cannot do that, there is no hope for anyone else. It's where it starts. And the medical industry needs to come correct. They need to honor their physician's oath, and they need to stop throwing people's lives away.